Mayor Larson.
Here.
Commissioner Angel.
Here.
Commissioner Arpke.
Here.
Commissioner Jennings.
Here.
Commissioner Peck.
Here.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. At this time, we have the Citizens Forum. During this open forum, anyone from the public can come up and comment on anything not on today's agenda. Please come forward and give us your name and address. Seeing that there is none, there are also no awards and proclamations or public hearings and items scheduled for a certain time, so we will move on to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of November 9, 2009. Item 6.2, resolution number 096679, appointing members to the Community Art and Design Committee, Disciplinary Advisory Board, and the Tree Advisory Board.
Does the commissioner wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? If not, I'll ask for action.
Mayor, I'd move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. There is no development business, so we'll move on to administration.
Item 8.1, first reading ordinance number 09-10523, amending Chapter 8, Article 1, Division 1 of the Salina Code by adding Section 8-12.5.1, amending Section 1008-1.4 of the International Building Code to provide a new exception for door landings for small storage rooms.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. The building code has long had pretty detailed and prescriptive exiting requirements for exiting from spaces within buildings, including prescriptive requirements for the requirements at floor surfaces at door landings. And the intent of these provisions as they apply to doors is to prevent tripping hazards in doorways, particularly if the door serves an area that might have several occupants in it, that if an occupant were to trip, exiting the room might block the exit for other occupants. These requirements, we believe, apply to refrigerated rooms such as commercial coolers and freezers, and the difficulty in applying those requirements is that sometimes these spaces have insulated floors, which causes the floor level inside the space to be higher than the floor level on the outside of the space, particularly if that refrigerated unit is going to be installed on an existing floor. And consequently, that can cause a step down at the door, which would be a violation of our currently adopted building code. In some cases in the past, and we have been consistently enforcing this requirement for several years, and the way that designers have addressed this particular problem in the past is to simply recess the cooler and/or freezer into the floor to level the floor inside with the floor outside, or in some cases to install a landing outside of the doorway. In some cases where these refrigerated rooms are being installed in smaller kitchens, that does provide a little bit of dilemma for the designers because it takes up space in those smaller kitchens, and space is a premium oftentimes. We recently had a local architect request that the Building Advisory Board consider a local amendment to our building code requirements for exiting to create a new exception that would permit a step down for these kinds of installations. The building code does contain exceptions for having a step down at a door for other types of installations that are similar, where the occupant load served by the door is very small, and where the regular building occupants are very familiar with the condition that exists at that particular doorway. The board discussed the matter at their November meeting last week and agreed that some form of exception would be reasonable. The board also agreed that it would be rational to apply that exception to not only small refrigerated areas, but any small similar types of storage rooms. We had prepared draft language for the board to consider, and the board took action on that, approving the draft language with a slight modification. We have provided a draft copy of that language for your review, and we would recommend that the commission approve the ordinance 09-10-523 to provide this new amendment as recommended by the Building Advisory Board and staff. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding this matter.
Can you just tell me what the difference is between a Type A and a Type B unit? When they talk about, I couldn't find, when they talk about accessible units, Type A units or Type B units, what is a Type A unit and what is a Type B unit?
That has to do more with the Fair Housing Act and the types of residences that are required to be accessible, be adaptable rather than accessible. As a matter of fact, the board has already approved another amendment to this same section that we will be bringing to you as part of the 2006 adoption that clarifies that these, since we enforce the ADA here and not the accessibility requirements in the building code, we've typically gone back and deleted all those references in the building code to accessibility requirements and replaced those with what ADAG says. And in this particular case, since ADAG doesn't apply to residences, it's the Fair Housing Act, that would be the requirements that would be in place here when we amend this section in the 2006 adoption. I'm not sure that answers your question. Physically, the differences between a Type A accessible unit and a Type B accessible unit, I'm not familiar with right off the top of my head because we don't typically deal with those since they are under the Fair Housing and we don't enforce those.
Okay, so those have to do with household dwellings?
Yes.
Those are homes?
Those are homes.
Okay, okay. Any other questions of staff?
Just a clarification, it is 7 inches. I asked that because on the staff report, it's got 8 inches. On the ordinance, it reads 7 inches.
That was the clarification that was asked for by the board. They would rather limit that to the 7 inches than the 8 inches, as the applicant had originally asked for an 8-inch step down, and that's the way we submitted the draft language, and they chose to reduce it to 7 inches.
Any significant wisdom there one way or the other, difficulties or not?
As practical difficulties, no. They felt like the insulated floors and the types of applications that we're talking here are typically around 4 inches, so reducing it from the 8 inches to the 7 inches shouldn't create any problems with a specific application to a refrigerated walk-in or cooler or freezer. 8 inches is an acceptable step down for residential occupancies, and some further local amendments that we're going to bring to you as far as the 2006 adoption of the IBC is concerned. But 7 inches is normally what's recognized as the height limitation for commercial applications. So that's why they chose to reduce it to the 7 inches.
Additional questions? Thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. Seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 09-10523 on first reading.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 09-10523 on first reading, providing an amendment to section 1008.1.4 of the 2003 International Building Code to provide a new exception for door landings for small storage rooms. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.2, award of contract for the water treatment plant carbon dioxide storage system, project number 092782.
Ms. Tasker?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. The carbon dioxide storage system was installed in 1984, and it consists of two 39-ton vertical storage tanks with refrigeration units and auxiliary equipment. The insulation on the storage tanks has deteriorated over time, which results in the refrigeration units having a difficult time maintaining the required temperature and pressure when we reach days over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Basically what happens when we can't maintain the temperature of 0 degrees, the liquid converts to a gas and increases in pressure, and then the carbon dioxide is wasted into the atmosphere through a pressure relief valve. Wilson and Company had completed a study on the carbon dioxide storage system in July of 2008, and at that time they recommended reducing the capacity of each storage tank from 39 tons to 30 tons, and staff agrees with that reduction in size. The reduced storage tank reduces the numbers of days on storage on site, but it will have no effect on what our yearly chemical costs are. Bids were received on October 27th from two local contractors. The low bid was Frank Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $261,000. The second bid was from Smoky Hill LLC in the amount of $278,000. The engineer's estimate was based on Wilson and Company's study dated July of 2008 in the amount of $140,000. A budget allocation of $145,000 for the water treatment plant carbon dioxide storage system is included in the 2009 capital improvement program under vehicles and equipment. The difference of $116,000 will be funded from the water and wastewater reserve funds. A total of 4 plan rooms and 7 equipment suppliers and 4 contractors had requested the project manual for this project. Out of that, 2 local contractors bid the project, and each contractor received quotations from 2 separate equipment suppliers. Staff has reviewed these bids and determined that the above bids are competitive and they reflect the cost of the project as we specified it in the project manual. It is recommended that the City Commission award the contract for the water treatment plant carbon dioxide storage system, project number 092782, to Frank Construction Company Incorporated of Salina, Kansas, in the amount of $261,000. This time I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Questions of staff? Okay, thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. And seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move we award the contract for the water treatment plant carbon dioxide storage system, project number 09-2782, to Frank Construction Incorporated of Salina, Kansas, in the amount of $261,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the contract for the water treatment plant carbon dioxide storage system, project number 09-2782. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.3, resolution number 096677, authorizing an agreement for life insurance services.
Ms. Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. The city has historically provided life insurance benefits for the employees in the past equal to the annual salary as well as coverage for the spouses and children. Based on some discussions we had around budget time, we looked into some options and worked through our local broker, Sunflower Insurance Group, who also put us in touch with Hardman Benefits. And Mr. Gary Hardman is here today out of Wichita to answer any of the questions that I am not able to provide you information on. On our behalf, Mr. Hardman did obtain quotes from 14 different providers, and I attached information on the top 2. To summarize, I will refer to the different options at the bottom. And these rates are lower than we are currently paying, as well as well under budget. And to look at the various options, they range from leaving our benefits at the current level, which is 1 times the annual salary, along with spouse and child dependent benefits at $15,000 and $10,000, down to leaving the annual salary coverage for the employee, reducing the spouse and child benefit, eliminating the dependent benefit altogether, transitioning to a program that the city would still cover the employee's salary, or up to 1 times the annual salary for the employee, and allowing employees to purchase the additional coverage, or eliminating the life insurance benefit altogether. So at this point, I guess those would be the options. The other option would be to direct us to contact other groups as well for quotes, but we did feel that these were very competitive, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions of staff?
This is a multi-year contract?
We entered into the agreement for 1 year, and they did allow us to renew at the same rate for 2 additional years. So we would have the current rates presented for up to 3 years.
Okay.
Additional questions? Thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. Seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move we authorize staff to enter into an agreement with Lincoln Financial Group with benefits for employees at 1 times the annual salary and dependent benefits at $15,000 and $10,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 09-667, authorizing an agreement for life insurance services with Lincoln Financial Group. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.4, resolution number 096678, authorizing agreement to administer the Section 125 flexible spending account.
Ms. Fisher.
Thank you again, Mayor and Commissioners. The city, as part of the benefits, also has a flexible spending account program. And approximately 2 years ago, we opted to move from our provider at that time, who was ASI, to Aflac's Flex One program. They were administering the program at no cost. Based on 2 years of experience, working with the administration, getting employee feedback in the form of surveys, it was apparent that the satisfaction level was higher at ASI. So we are proposing that we move back to ASI at the rates of $4 per month per employee for participant. The exact annual dollar amount will fluctuate based on our participation levels, but the tax savings kind of washes out any of the expense associated, because the city also benefits from reducing the taxation. The additional debit card would be something that we currently do have with Flex One. There have been some challenges getting that worked out, but for the most part, employees do tend to like it. It's in the form of a debit card rather than solely rely on reimbursements, and that's for the unreimbursed medical portion of a flexible spending account. That charge would be $1.50 per month for those who would opt in. So I guess what I'm asking is approval to enter into an agreement with ASI to cover those fees.
Questions of Ms. Fisher? Thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. Seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action. With no action, this will not go anywhere.
Ms. Fisher, can I ask you a question? Is the $4 per month per employee, is that passed on to the employee, or does the city pay for that?
The city does pay for that, and that is only based on those who opt in to set aside money through the flexible spending account. One item I didn't mention was the administration of the type of account that ASI allows to pay the reimbursements, whether it's for dependent daycare reimbursement or unreimbursed medical. They have a different system than we currently have, where we are currently having to administer a separate checking account. So I would anticipate, and Mr. Franz may be able to comment more on some of the savings we could possibly see, but the administration is simpler with the form where we don't have to have one more separate checking account, going back to the method of ASI's reimbursements.
Any other questions?
Mayor, I'd move we approve resolution number 09-6678, authorizing you to enter into an agreement with authorizing the city manager, to enter into an agreement with ASI to administer the Section 125 flexible spending account from February 1st of 2010 through January 31st of 2011.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 09-6678, authorizing an agreement to administer the Section 125 flexible spending account with ASI. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Is there any additional business? If not, I'll ask for an adjournment.
Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned for today.